Guys, welcome back to my channel. So today I'm going to show you guys how to make this Hello Summer door sign for your front door. Super cute to make your porch festive this summer. So to get started, make sure that you grab my free SVG file from my blog at svgnation.com, and there is a link in the video description that's going to take you directly there, as well as links to the supplies that I'm using in case you want to check any of those out. So once you have that file uploaded to Cricut Design Space, go ahead and add that to your canvas. So I am using a 16-inch wood round. So if you are using that same size, then this file is ready to go. You don't need to modify it. But if you're using a different size, I'm going to show you how you can go ahead and adjust this file accordingly. So say you only have like a 12-inch round, what you're going to do is you're going to take your shapes tool and create a circle. And go ahead and change that width and height to 12. And then I'm just going to click right here so I can send this to the back. And now you can just click right here on your design and you can resize that to fit that. Once you have that where you like the way it fits, then it's good to go. Just delete that circle and you can cut everything out. But I'm going to go ahead and undo that just because I want this the regular size. Okay. So one other thing to note is that if you are making the same size that I am, this Hello is too big to cut on a 12 by 12 mat. You do need to use a 12 by 24 mat. If you don't have one of those, it's fine. You can just go ahead and ungroup these layers right here and click on this and just take that width and resize it to 11.5. And you can just kind of place that in the middle just like that. It's still going to look super cute. You don't have to run out to get a new mat for it. And so that'll work. Everything else cuts out just fine on smaller mats. But again, I'm going to undo that because I want to make it as it is here. But everything is good, so there's no modifications needed except for what I just showed you. So let's go ahead and click on Make It. Keep in mind we are using iron-on vinyl, and now you can also use the adhesive vinyl, but I recommend iron-on. So if you're using iron-on, just make sure that you do mirror everything before cutting. And also when you are cutting iron-on vinyl, you do want to place this with the shiny side down. Okay, so go ahead and start cutting everything out with your Cricut, and then once you have everything cut out, we'll go ahead and weed everything. Everything is cut out. You're going to want to go ahead and weed all of your vinyl. So that just basically means you're removing all of the pieces of the vinyl that you don't need. And so you are keeping the design on your carrier sheet, but removing everything else. And before you start weeding, go ahead and cut closely around it if you didn't cut around your vinyl before you cut. That way you don't lose a lot of your vinyl by weeding it. And so that's all we're doing is just removing the pieces we don't need. And then after that, you want to go ahead and take your scissors and cut super close to your design. You don't want to leave a lot of the carrier sheet. And by doing this, this is going to allow us to go ahead and be able to press everything in bulk instead of having to do it individually. So I'm just getting as close as I can around the design without actually cutting on the design. Alright, so this is just what it looks like when I'm done with that piece. So I'm just going to repeat this for all of my popsicle pieces, the words that say hello, and the popsicle sticks. So go ahead and weed all of that, trim around it, and then we'll move on to the next step. Alright, so next we want to go ahead and add our pieces on here. Okay, so make sure that these holes right here, those are the top, so make sure that those are facing up. That way everything is lined up, you know, where it's going to face up. And we're just going to add these popsicles on here. We're lining them up together, putting them pretty close. So that's why we trimmed really close around them. If you don't have enough space, then you can move them up a little bit. That gives you a little more space. Bring them in closer together and just kind of slide them until you kind of like how they look and how they're positioned. But again, remember to keep those two circles lined up top. It's easy to kind of let the board turn, but then things are not going to line up correctly. Okay. Okay, so once you kind of feel good about how your popsicles are, I'm going to maneuver them just a tiny bit more. Then go ahead and take your hello, and you're just going to add that on top. You can leave as much of a space as you want. Just make sure that you leave enough room up top for your bow. So it just depends on how big your bow is going to be. And again, you want to make sure that this is centered the whole time. Otherwise, when it hangs, it's going to be a little bit crooked. Okay, so once everything is in place, you can kind of press it down a little bit just to kind of keep it from sliding. Oops, see how easily those slide as you go to press it? So if you kind of press down on it, it's going to help hold those in place while you get that heat press on top of it. But before adding the heat press, go ahead and put a piece of parchment paper down. And then we're going to go ahead and press this for 40 seconds. So I'm going to have to do 2 batches because of the size of my heat press. So I'm just going to go ahead and let that go. And you will actually use the same settings whether you're using glitter iron-on or regular, so you can mix and match and still heat it all together, and it's going to work. So once it feels cool to the touch, you can go ahead and peel this off. If you notice that the letters are not sticking, then go ahead and add some more heat. Press that carrier sheet back down and add some more heat. But as you can see, mine's coming right off with those settings. And I did forget to mention, but you probably noticed that I did paint this first. It was like a light wood grain. Okay. But that does not affect your heat settings. So you can either paint it or leave it. The wood grain, it really doesn't matter. I used like a outdoor white acrylic paint to paint this. And when you're lifting up, because we cut so much of the carrier sheet off, it is a little bit difficult to kind of get your fingers in there and get it. So I find it much easier to just use like this little weeding tool to help with that. Once you remove the carrier sheets from those, then you can go ahead and add your popsicle sticks. And it's okay if that carrier overlaps since we've already got that iron down. So we're just placing these to line up at the bottom of each of the popsicles. And then when you have those in place, just add your parchment paper back and go ahead and press those just like you did before. You're still doing the 40 seconds for each of them. And if you don't want to use your big old press, you can also use like the little mini one. That probably would have been easier. If you do that, just use that highest heat setting, and again you're going to press for like 40 seconds. Alright, once this is cooled, you can go ahead and remove the carrier. Again, I'm just going to help lift it off with my little weeding tool. Alright, so once all those are removed, you're going to want to go ahead and use an acrylic sealer. So I'm using this Mod Podge one. And you're going to want to go ahead and seal this, and you need to do this before you add the bow. You want to use like a really well ventilated area, so I'm going to take this outside and do it. And I'm going to do 2 different coats, and all you're doing is you're just going to kind of spray going back and forth until you cover the whole thing, and then let it dry about 15 to 20 minutes before you add another coat. So once I have this done and it's dry, I'm going to come back and show you how to finish this off. Alright, so now that this is dried, we're going to go ahead and add our bow. So I'm just going to make a simple bow using this ribbon. This is just a 2.5-inch wired ribbon. And you also need some kind of wire, like floral wire, or you can just steal like the little thing from your bread like I did, and that's going to work. So you just want to start, you want to take your ribbon and you're just going to kind of fold a loop in it, kind of like you're making a bow. But you want a little bit extra to hang off the end right here. So we're just going to kind of push this in and pinch it together and kind of fluff that out. And then you want to make another, I'm just gonna roll this around. And then we're gonna make like another loop, kind of the same size as that one, and bring it in towards the middle. And you're just pressing all of that middle in. And this piece should just hang, this is just like the extra piece that hangs off the bow. And then we're gonna create another loop. My ribbon is a little bit twisted because I still have it attached since I don't know how much I need yet. So I'm just gonna fold and make like another bow. And as you get that loop, just kind of press it in the middle. And you can fluff and kind of arrange these once we're done. So don't worry too much about how it looks. And then we're just making that last little loop right there. And so just press that in really well in the middle, and then take your wire or whatever you're using and just go ahead and use that to tightly close that together. I'm just twisting it. Okay. And now we're going to cut off some of this, about the same amount, to match this piece right here. And so now you can kind of play with your bow, twist the pieces how you like them, fluff it up, all that good stuff. And you can fluff it up more once you glue it on. But right now I just want to kind of get the shape of it so I can cut these. I'm just going to cut these at a small angle, going like inward towards each other. And I'm just going to add some hot glue down to the middle of this right here to attach it to the board. You can also kind of attach the bow pieces down if you want, but I would recommend waiting until after you put the string in, because you may want to kind of glue the bottoms down so that they stay in the place you want them. But again, we'll fluff this up a little bit later once that's attached. And I'm just going to add my twine. I'm just going to get kind of a big piece here, so I make sure that I have enough. And I'm just going to knot the end, and I'm going to actually knot it twice. That way we have kind of a bigger knot there. So I'm just knotting that. Go ahead and flip this over. And we're going to string this through so that the knot catches it at the end. And as you can see, I did not paint the back of my board. That's totally optional if you want to paint yours. I'm just going to string that through so it's going to catch there. And then we're going to string this back through. And once you string that back through, kind of decide how long you want this. I think kind of like when I've had it really long in the past, I notice that the wind catches it and it turns. So I kind of like a medium length like this. Not too short, but not too long. And so I'm just going to kind of knot that, double knot it again at about the place where I want it to hang. So you can pull this, cut off the extra. And then I also like to kind of add some hot glue right here around it. So like when you pull it down, it sticks in that hot glue. And that's just really gonna help keep it from ever going through that hole, which hopefully like doing the double knot should keep it, but that just adds like extra security. So I'm just gonna cover all that in hot glue, just helping to really keep that from coming out. And you can just kind of pull on that string while it dries a little bit to make sure it attaches to that hot glue. So all that's left is to really get your bow exactly how you want it. Now that you're done flipping this over, you can really fluff it up, add some dimension to it. And of course you can add any bow you want. This is just a simple bow. That's pretty easy to create and it looks really cute. But if you want to get fancy with it, feel free to. And once that's done, it's all ready to go. You can just hang it on your door. I like to put it on the shutter next to our door because it has like a little hanging spot. If you guys have any questions on how to make this, go ahead and ask those in the comments and I'll answer them there. And if you guys have any suggestions on more designs you'd like to see for wood rounds, then leave those in the comments there and I'll see what I can get to. But thank you guys so much for watching. If you haven't already, make sure to subscribe and like this video. And thanks so much. Bye.